What's going on YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Oh So Simplified, coming to you with a video here about keeping the main thing. Not getting distracted and blown off course. But for this one, as always, like, comment, subscribe, dislike, any feedback will do. Let's jump into this. As always, you know these videos are coming directly from my life, directly from things that, I feel like I'm experiencing, things that I'm trying to tell myself that I'm sure other people can take the information and apply to their life. So the first part is really about having a main thing, like having a goal, plan, mission, purpose, whatever you may want to call it. And this idea just really comes around, like, if you just observe the majority of people day to day, they are living life not based on what they chose. These are lives that other people have chosen for them. I know in past videos I've mentioned like ideas like becoming a millionaire. Like, why is that number so important? Is because other people have said it. That's why there's a term called millionaire, billionaire. Like, people want these things that other people have said are valuable. Whether it's, types of cars, types of relationships, things that you should be doing in the day-to-day, things of that sort. And if you don't have a goal or purpose, you're inevitably going to be influenced by the things that are around you. So that's really the first piece, is that you have something that you're, sinking your teeth into, that day in and day out, is tied to you, tied to what you want to do. And it can be your overriding compass. Now, when I get into the next part, I'm going to get a little bit deeper as to some things that might be more on the morality tip of how to kind of keep this contained. But the main idea is that the way we are as humans, I mean, if you want to get into esoteric knowledge, apparently, if you ever heard of like Anunnaki and stuff, they've imparted a worship gene, if you believe in those types of things. If you want more of like a secular, pragmatic kind of breakdown, there is this feeling that you need something to believe in. Like, even somebody who's like an atheist, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll start believing in different ideologies. A lot of these new socio ideologies you hear all the time, they might cling to that. They might cling to, somebody might believe directly in, math and the pursuit of math. Other people, it might be a particular sport. It could be business. But generally, people have a focus that they're looking to grow. Now, once again, this could be a lifestyle that was chosen for you, or a lifestyle that you chose on your own volition. But regardless of what it is, as a human being, you have this need to not necessarily worship something, but have something be the focal point. And generally, when people lose this completely, one thing could be retiring. People die, or people turn to drugs and alcohol, where that becomes their quote-unquote God, their focus, their worship. And if you want to kind of live a life that's true to who you are and your true self and your random assortment of, genetic makeup and environmental background, I would not say to learn and try to glean, not necessarily learn, but like to copy what other people's goals are. Because if you follow the flow, generally the flow is going downhill. And what media is selling you, what other people are selling you, are generally things that are not thought from your perspective. They are things that other people are thinking about, that one could be like a very logical position from their perspective, but more than likely what it really is something they never thought through, and they just are throwing at you willy-nilly, and you're biting it hook, line, and sinker, and building a life based on it. So that's kind of my view on the first part, is just really just have a goal, have a purpose, sit down and think and figure this out. Now, when you're devising something like this and kind of creating a main thing, my suggestion would be, and this is the second part, is put yourself first. Like, have yourself be the focal point. Now, a lot of people talk about selfishness, arrogance, things of that sort. So I think arrogance is kind of like, it means something different. I might, put a Webster dictionary during this part, and I digress. When I look at arrogance, that's like kind of like an overinflated belief in yourself. But when I say that you should make yourself the center of like your universe, it's really the idea that If you don't live your life for you, then who's going to live it for you? Nobody's out here advocating for other people on a daily basis. It's like one of those, that saying that if you knew how little other people thought of you, you really wouldn't care about their opinion. And a lot of times people put other people's opinions above their own, and I think it stems from a lack of self-belief in who you are as, you know, a quote-unquote good person. Like, if you're a good person, and it's something I was talking to somebody yesterday about, like, it's like, if you're a good person, you spend time making correct decisions that are, you know, beneficial to yourself and others. You're not out here maliciously trying to hurt people. You're being honest. You're showing up in a way that, you know, you have like a moral code to the way that you do things. Then you shouldn't really have this fear that the more you put yourself first, like, the more you're going to harm people. Because that's really when people hear selfishness. It's like somebody taking more than they deserve and taking it away from other people. And when I think of myself, like, I think anything that I want to do is better for me than anybody else what they could do. Like, I'm not going to rely on somebody else. And then also, I think that I know myself the best. So what I'm going to do for me is going to be the most beneficial. I'm a good person. So what I do is going to benefit the people that are exposed to me, around me. And those are my intentions in general, is to make my life better without hurting anybody else. And then there's this second piece about it where I truly believe that everybody is selfish. The people you have to really worry about are the people that think they're not, because they're living a lie. Like, this is just my opinion, my view. Like, they're living a lie. Most of what they do is to benefit themselves, and they're caught up in this act where they might not even really understand it's an act, that they really believe that they're not doing things for themselves. And these are sometimes, like, when you take advice from people like this, it's the most insidious advice, because they truly believe they're giving you good advice and advice that's going to help you, but they don't see that it's really something that is more benefiting them or the way they look at things, etc. So really putting yourself first, being self-centered. If you're a good person, it should benefit other people. Yeah. And just for like a little bit of like origin too of this self-centered idea of, if you're a good person, it should be good. It came from this book, 10x versus 2x. And one of the big pieces of this book was that, one, doing things at like a huge jump is actually easier than trying to double what you're doing, just because you have to think different to make things scale 10x, versus to get something to go 2x, you just have to work twice as hard, which is actually harder to actually do, especially if you're working a significant period of time on whatever the goal is. But the main idea was, you should want what you want without the feeling the need of justification. That what I want is what I want. I don't feel like I need to justify it. And I'm a good person, so when I do the things that I do, it's not going to harm people. So it's a really good book if you want to kind of get a better idea as to where that idea came from. But let me jump to the last piece, because I think this is the most important piece, really. And that is like how you actually devise this outlook in general. So it'll be goals, journaling, meditation. So to kind of recap where we are, the beginning, it's like, have a purpose. So you have to kind of sit down and figure out how to have a purpose. That's where a lot of these goals, journaling, will come into play. Putting yourself first. Really taking inventory of the things you want, who you are as a person, the real person, how you want to show up in the world. And then the meditation piece is really sitting with the feeling of achieving whatever you want to do. Now, these are things that I do on sporadic. I try to make them daily practices, but I feel like they've given me a lot in my life. Like when I look at, and I really started the goal writing process down probably around 23, 24. And when I look at my life now, it doesn't appear exactly as that was, but there's so many things that I've done now that it's almost like mystical, the way that my life has taken certain directions on things I wrote down that I have not looked at in years. Certain pieces of that lifestyle have happened. Like I've said, I'm going to buy a house and have people living out of it and rent it out. I've said that, I really want to learn martial arts. This is when I wasn't wrestling, when I wasn't doing anything active in that. standpoint. I wanted to travel around from work, so I've been to, I mean, a lot of it's different states, but a lot of different states for work. Doing this fighting thing now, it's like I'm kind of going to different places sometimes with that. Maybe that could be something in the future. Certain experiences, moving to New York, things like of that sort, but having a dog. A lot of the things I wrote down in some capacity have happened and have manifested in my life in terms of the goals. And when I'm going to break down the goals, one of the big things I do is I write about 9 to 10, because one of them is like kind of like a very broad goal. 10 different goals down every single day, or as best as I can, of different areas of my life, whether it's the first area is really finance driven, the second area is health and fitness driven, the next area is like relationships driven, and then the last piece is just like kind of the home run, which I'll just say what that one is. It's like I'm living my ideal lifestyle daily. So I always write that as a part of it, that all those things, in terms of how I want my finances to look, how I want my health and fitness to look, how I want my relationships to look, I'm very clear on what I want there, and I have like kind of a homing beacon. Whenever I'm in a conversation, I'm exposed to any other information, my guiding star are those 9, 10 things. And if it doesn't really feel like it can fit in those 9, 10 things, then I know that something's off. And I think in terms of like the journaling aspect, that is something that has really helped me in terms of just having like a compass, a due north of, the general direction I want to travel. Now, the ways that you can make this better and be, more insightful is taking inventory of yourself. Now, this is something I probably could do more, but I have done it in the past. It's just really writing down like your strengths, your weaknesses, what you really want, things you wanted as a child. And I'm not really a huge fan into like the Dear Diary, this is how it happened type of journaling. If that suits you, then that can suit you. Mine is just more of like, either sometimes I'll just, have a free flow write where it's 2 minutes, just write, don't think of what you're writing. But a lot of my journals, if you look through past years, is just goals, plans. How can I achieve that? How can I do that? And it can help also hold yourself accountable if there's certain things that recur in your life that you aren't doing. Like a lot of my videos and the pressure that you've seen to like, oh, I gotta post, and picking up the post, it comes from these journals. It's like you're saying you're going to start a business, you're going to do this thing, but you're actually not working towards it. So it would be like a daily reminder that you're not working towards it, you're not working towards it, you're not working towards it. And then now I am, because it's something that I'm constantly writing down. Now the other part is really knowing yourself. So I mean, I did have like kind of like a conversation that really just brought up a lot of things that like I was learning in college. I was talking to someone and she was bringing up like love languages, which made me think of like love styles, and then attachment theory and things of that sort, and just things that are core to me in terms of how I grew up, how I came up, and my view of things. And it's like it kind of helps put things into place. Like, for example, when you think about, if you're talking about like a love style, that can really make it easy for you to have like a rubric as to what types of people to deal with. Like I know for me, if you use that rubric, and you can look it up, it's like there's like 6. Pragmatic is my main, I would say like my dominant one. Now, I'm not really a person that's, trying to make everything, like I don't have to like, conquer, hundreds of different women to feel happy. I don't really have to like fall deep and head over heels in love. My main thing is like, it's got to just fit my lifestyle. It's got to fit the routine I already have. I love my life. I love my routine. I think anybody would be freaking privileged to be brought into my lifestyle. So you would need to fit it for that to happen. That is kind of my main rubric that I use. It's not really based on maybe other rubrics that other people have for what they're assessing or looking for. The same thing when it comes to like attachment theory. When it comes to the way that I like to interact with the world, like I'm not a person that really needs to be like out and about and doing all these things. A lot of my social needs come out of doing activities like MMA, where we do talk and have fun, but a large majority of it is like not talking and punching and kicking and drilling with each other. Or going to yoga, where it's the same thing. We're just doing poses. I'm not having these long, drawn-out conversations with these people, as opposed to other people that might need to go to parties, go to social events, go and do these other things. The same thing when it comes to, you know, work and your mentality on what you want to do in terms of like your career path. I know I want to start a business, so I really have no desire to be in like a leadership role at another organization, because I understand that that's going to end up taking up all my time and free time to do something like this. So really taking inventory of what you want, and I would urge you not to make any justifications on that, just because the justifications come from society's desire to make you feel like you need to have what you have. And if you really break this down, it comes from more of like an archaic view of thinking, which is like there's only a set amount of pie to be taken. And if you think about like Christianity and some of the earlier religions, that's kind of how they phrase it. It's like, you know, like God created everything in 7 days. I mean, I don't really know, I'm not Christian, but like 6 days and took a day to rest or whatever, and that was the seventh day, the Sabbath day or whatever. But basically he created everything at one time, so it's not like there's new stuff being created and being brought in, which makes you have the feeling that, you know, the time when there was the most stuff was in the past. So if you want anything more than you want, which goes back to this whole selfishness thing, if you want more for yourself, that means you have to be by proxy, by default, taking from others. I don't believe in that, and I, once again, believe if you're a good person, an altruistic person, a person that has other people's best interest in heart, which actually is the most selfish thing, that if you want what you want in your life to happen, then you have to also want what other people want to happen in their life. Like, there's a possibility to just get what you want if you want it. And if that wasn't the case, then you, by proxy, by inference, you couldn't get what you want. So it's like almost being selfish, you're not going to take over other people, because that's going to create enemies, which is going to make it harder for you to get to where you want to go. It's like what people are calling selfish is like almost like an unintelligent form of selfishness. Intelligent selfishness is actually going to be altruistic to others, because it's going to benefit you in the long run to have, you know, friends and comrades when you're old and 82 and you fall down and might break a hip. Like, you need people to be there to try to help you out. So that's kind of my view on selfishness. I know this video kind of went all over the place. I'm just trying to really focus on keeping consistent, getting them up. I'm really working on some of the products for when I launch my other channels. But that's really it for this one. Just keeping the main thing the main thing. And for me, it was just really that I feel like whether it's new people, you know, the fight where there was a loss, some of the things I'm doing, some of the struggles I might even be feeling in, you know, whether it's like work and just my day-to-day and not feeling I have enough time to fit everything in. It's like resetting and taking that meditation. I guess I didn't really get into that, so I'll talk about that now. Getting into that meditation of re-seeing the vision of what I want to do, living in that vision, and just feeling the feeling and chasing that feeling. Because I am, as you probably could tell if you listen to my videos, I do believe in like energies, synchronicities, the idea that the frequency you're on is going to attract that frequency back to you. So if you are, you know, feeling the feeling of the dream fulfilled, to quote Neville Goddard, you will attract that frequency or that reality to you. So it's really becoming, once again, to like repeat everything, it's like becoming clear on your actual goal and developing a goal. I believe that your goal should put you first. You're not going to be able to have goals that incorporate other people and what they're going to do. Only thing you control is yourself and your behaviors. And then lastly, putting it into play by, you know, creating the goals, journaling things down, and actually writing it out, so you have a direction. And then the meditation piece, which is, you know, seeing it happen in real life and feeling the feeling of the dream fulfilled, and then putting into the work of all those three things in the present moment to make it happen. So that's really it for this one. You like the content, like, comment, subscribe. You didn't like, dislike. You could also leave some negative comments. Any feedback will do. And as always, you know what it is. Peace.